What's up, everybody? It is Monday night, November 23rd, 2020. We are back once again, partners in crime. I am Don Tony. Welcome to this edition of Breakfast Soup Raw. Join along with me is my co-host, as always,
Anthony Missionary Thomas. What's going on, everyone? How you doing, DP?
All right, not too bad, not too bad. Just finished watching a... I don't even know if we could call it a lackluster Raw because there's so many, but it's 24 hours post-Survivor Series. The next pay-per-view is not until December 20th, so they still have time to set up a couple of the feuds. You could see right off the bat, which we've all been talking about for weeks. Soon as Survivor Series was over, they were going to go right back to The Fiend and Randy Orton. Seems like they may be doing a scenic route with Sheamus turning on Drew McIntyre. Sheamus losing that tournament match tonight. Phenomenal match with Sheamus. Sheamus and Matt Riddle. What did you think of that match?
It was actually pretty good. It was one of the few times that you actually saw Sheamus emote in the ring. It was kind of cool to see that, they even started it off pretty explosively. I like Matt Riddle in the ring. I like those two guys. They seem to have at least an understanding of how to make a match feel like it's more than just an exhibition. It felt like they were trying to fight each other, so I was enjoying that. But we're talking about one of the few, and if not only, highlights of Raw tonight. It really was not spectacular. It felt like a lot. I mean, other than maybe the Bliss cross stuff, it felt paint by numbers tonight. Even the stuff with Keith Lee, even the stuff with the Hurt Business, very paint by numbers tonight.
One thing that I always say, whenever you do any type of, ongoing project, you can take some steps back once in a while, but the objective is always, if you take one step back, you go two steps forward. You could try to convince yourself that you're taking two steps forward, but if you're really not taking two steps forward, sooner or later it rears its ugly head. And after Raw going off the air tonight, what I say to myself is, A, the Hurt Business look worse now than they did, even 2 weeks ago, because last week they lost the tag title opportunity. Tonight they kind of lost it twice. Retribution, I mean, my God, Mustafa Ali and all the group, you could tweet all you want. You could pick up people's laptops and try to make it like you're infiltrating. I don't want to use the terrorist analogy. But if you're going to be Antifa, if you're going to be a terrorist, if you're going to cause destruction, in storyline, it's not their fault. It's not like WWE put them on the booking sheet and they're like, nah, we don't feel like coming out there today. It's not their fault. But storyline-wise, you cause chaos, but you do it only 2 weeks out of the month, and then you take a day off here, a pay-per-view off there, a Raw over here, him does squat to Asuka today, Retribution doesn't do nothing to the Hurt Business, to New Day or any. I mean, at the end of the night, who really benefited? I mean, it's just, I don't know, man. I understand everybody's still on the Undertaker frame of mind, but when you really dissect this tonight, I mean, there is no reason for us to talk more than just a few minutes about Raw. There was a lot of lowlights tonight. Some good highlights, but a lot of lowlights.
Right. Well, what are the highlights? Because, I mean, we just talked about one of them. The Sheamus match was not horrendous. Matt Riddle was good. Bliss and the Nikki Cross thing. I mean, I did kind of find that funny that it's kind of like she took that straight out of Batman. Does anybody else feel that she stole that from the Joker scene where Batman was beating the living hell out of Joker in prison and he's just laughing the whole time? I don't know. It just felt very... It was okay. It was okay for what it was. I did get a couple of chuckles out of the fact that Nikki Cross was trying to beat the crazy out of Alexa
What
Bliss.
does that even mean? Hey, Nikki! Beat the fucking crazy out of yourself. Your whole character was kind of like a lunatic. And again, I'm not blaming her. This is WWE creative. But man, when you really dissect this stuff, I mean, do I have to be like half a vegetable or 5 years old to like not read between the lines and say, does this make sense at all? Lex, I'm going to beat the crazy out of Lexi. I'm going to beat the crazy out of Lexi. The fuck does that even mean? Aflac. Oh, right. Yeah. Can we do that? Oh, look, you'll appreciate a little bit of technical info. Check this out, everybody. First off, I apologize to you and everybody Saturday night. I no-showed game night. I actually was at my parents' house up until Sunday afternoon. My father is still very sick. He's going for another COVID test tomorrow because he hasn't improved in a week. And the doctors told him today, they said, look, you know, this could incubate, and you could even though he tested negative last week, it could incubate, and he can't get over this cough and the phlegm, and the only thing he doesn't have is a fever. So tomorrow morning at 8:30, he's getting a COVID test done again, and if it ends up that it tests negative, they're going to put him on some pretty heavy duty like antibiotics and stuff because, you know, at his age, you know, you could think you're tough, but that shit could kill you, man. I mean, pneumonia is no joke. So, you know, I did not get much sleep this weekend, but here's the technical info for you and for everybody. Remember the last two Patreon shows? The show cut out a little bit. You kept losing me connection-wise? Yeah. Okay. Right. Last week, I played the clip of me talking about Zelina Vega from the Don Tony show, and then after that, we lost connection for a little while. Friday, I tried to play the Aflac thing for everybody that wants to see that for some reason, and it buffered again. So I did a speed test on this computer, and this computer is brand new. It's top of the line. Everything is uber top. So we, you know, can handle the show and everything we want to do, and then some. And I maxed out at 20 megabytes a second on the download speed and only 8 or 10 megabytes on the upload speed. I have a 400 Mbps plan. 400. Okay. And it was only maxing out. So check this out. I call Spectrum up, and they reset the modem. They reset the router. No changes. Right. The laptop, where I always have to use for Kev, because he doesn't record his own stuff, and I have to do it there, which is fine, but because the laptop, which is a totally different connection, that also only has 20 megabytes a second. So we have two different computers with very, very slow speed, yet my computer in my bedroom is 500 megabytes a second on the same router, on the same modem. So today I go over...
The other two computers, are they Wi-Fi connected? Are they connected?
No. Regular, just wired like the other one. So I go to Spectrum today, and they swap out the router and the modem. I come home, and I connect everything. No changes whatsoever. I checked all the settings. Everything is... So the only thing that I could narrow it down to now is somehow maybe two wires went bad at the same time. So I'm going to run new wiring from the router to these two computers, and hopefully it fixes the problem. Now, right now, I'm on Wi-Fi. Yesterday, for the Survivor Series recap, I did the whole show Wi-Fi. I have never done a show strictly Wi-Fi before. I was very afraid we were going to keep getting disconnected, but it worked beautifully. The Wi-Fi connection is 200 megabytes a second. So plenty of speed. So I have no idea what the deal is, but I think it's the wires. So I ordered 2 new wires today. I'm going away late Wednesday night / Thursday morning, so I'm not going to connect them until I get back. But, you know, hopefully that'll fix the problem. But before we get into anything else, can we share that little video that, you know, I don't know why people wanted to see it, but how this all started was 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, bunch of super chats come in. DT, do the Aflac duck. Do the Aflac duck. I haven't done it in 15 years. I got people that live right upstairs from me. I can't do it in my house at 11 o'clock at night. So a week ago, I go in my car, I'm driving around, and I said, you know what, let me pull over and do it. I didn't practice or anything, and when I did it, it sounded like shit. It was terrible. So I decided, you know what? I'll do a little teaser, and I came up with this. Hey, what's up, everyone? Don Tony. I'm currently parked at a red light. I tried to do this near my house, and I'm nervous that the neighbors may hear me. I tried to do it by my local church. Figured I'd park up front, and there's a freaking wedding going on. So I haven't done this in about 15 years, and for some reason, a lot of people have been asking me to do it one more time. But if you remember Gilbert Godfrey with the Aflac commercials, he used to do the Aflac duck, ran into some controversy, got fired from it. And back in the day, just as a goof, I imitated the Aflac duck, and Hazel Eyes
got a good laugh
out
at
blue.
it. So 15 years later, hopefully nobody hears me, and hopefully it sounds all right. So, and I'm doing it with the mask so you don't see my mouth. Ready?
So it sounded like shit. So as a teaser, I said, okay, I'll just do it for Friday. But now I got to deliver. So sure enough, Friday morning, I said, you know what? Let me try to do this thing one more time. Now, it's not as good as what it was 15 years ago. I get older and my voice is getting a little bit deeper. But, you know, I just decided, you know, I'll mess around with the graphics a little bit, make it black and white. And I trimmed down the music enough that YouTube will allow it. You know, I tested it. I actually uploaded the video. Nobody saw it on YouTube, but I tested it, and YouTube said, yeah, it's no problem. 5 seconds of music is no problem. So for everybody that, for some reason, that goes back with me many, many years that wanted to hear me do this, here you go. Here you go. I figured, why am I going to sit like a goof parked and do the duck again? I'll do it with a little music in the background. I won't wear the mask. And I don't know why you people are requesting this, but here you go. Are you happy now? So there you go, everybody. There you go. You know, we'll do more goofy stuff. I actually set up a TikTok, and that was the first video I posted. So we'll do some goofy stuff on there. Just, you know, I don't, you know, some people out there take themselves way too seriously. Me, sure. This stage in the game, 2020 being a so look, I'm wearing a shirt that says cheese balls. I mean, you know, it's just like, I'm just fed up with all of the drama and all of the crap. You know, I think laughing is the most important. I think, honestly, I think laughing, smiling, you know, without putting people down, I think that brings people closer together. I really do mean that. I really do. I mean, now, with that said, I had an impromptu little diatribe yesterday about Lana. I'm sure you've seen a lot of the clips of her network special where she broke down and cried about the bullying. I know you're a big supporter of Lana.
Sure, absolutely.
You saw that video?
No, I haven't seen her bullying video yet.
Oh, she did a WWE, the WWE Network did a special on her and about her road to where she is now. And right. I wish I could share it here, but copyright, you know, we'll get in trouble. But she broke down and started crying that, you know, like there's like a hatred online, you know, like just not just like criticizing like her dance videos, but people just hating her.
Yes, I did see that clip. I know exactly what you're talking about now. It just took a second for it to, I mean, of course people go through hard times, you know, we are no, how do I put it, strangers to negative feedback online. I'm sure you can recall definitely a bunch yourself. The fact that Lana goes through that, you know, it's not really surprising, and especially, you know, her being a popular person, a pseudo celeb, if you will. You know, she probably gets a lot different comments that regular people do, that we do, stuff like that. You know what I mean?
But that goes to show you that no matter how famous you are, no matter how much money you have, no matter how beautiful you are, no matter how successful you are, it still hurts. And when people see, what really angers me is when people use that as an excuse, as justification to get really vicious. Look, people definitely deserve criticism. If they can't execute of their job, they definitely deserve criticism. But people,
there's a difference between criticizing someone's talent and criticizing someone's ability, like saying, "Hey, look, you're not good in the ring. Go do something else." Like, that's a criticism. I mean, then there's more constructive criticism on people telling her how to do this. But just saying you fucking suck, go die, that's not criticism. That's being an asshat. You know?
And, and I even said it yesterday, and I did a little internet search, social media search today, and hook, line, and sinker, what I expected. You have a lot of those trolls that really, really hate on her maliciously. And they're saying that her tears are fake and crocodile and she's a fraud and this and that. And, you will never change those people. Those people are just miserable. I personally think maybe Lana should take a page from Mauro Ranallo and others and maybe, go away from social media for a little while. I really believe that. So
it's sad.
It is sad
that, that her and her husband can't sort through it and kind of find, you know what I mean? Like, I think she leaves herself open to a lot of that. There's a lot of people that do things like they'll just block everyone. They'll just ignore everyone, in order to stop listening to any kind of criticisms, which isn't the right way either. Yeah. But I think that there's got to be a way that you eventually just deal with this. She's not new. It's not like it's the first time. It's her first month in the company. You know what I mean?
But she's never had the opportunity to let it out.
I guess, right.
You know what I mean? So this has been building for a couple of years at minimum and finally let all that pain out. And I was happy for her yesterday. I mean, I think some people forget that we're watching sports entertainment, that, the storyline, over the years, we've had some, people overcome odds that should have never been in a position that they were in. And all she did was, I'm not trying to diminish it, but all she did yesterday was be the sole survivor because of a countout. People are trying to make it look like the biggest travesty in the history of pro wrestling. And I brought up the Maven eliminating Undertaker in the Royal Rumble example. At that time, everybody's like, huh? What the fuck was that? But now when he's interviewed on the bump, everybody's laughing at it, chuckling, big memory, this and that, and nobody has a problem with it.
Yeah, I didn't think it was that bad of a deal. Matter of fact, it was one. Considering I don't really know if you got a chance to listen to our recap. I got yours on my talk too, but
I heard about half of it.
Okay, well, I mean, like, for the most part, I actually enjoyed the turnout of Lana being the sole survivor. I thought it was kind of interesting. I thought it was a unique turn, and the idea that she was scolded and put in the corner the whole time. I know Joey has different ideas of where he wanted that to go, but I'm okay with it. I thought that was a unique friggin' ending. Yeah. And I don't know what they're going to do with it. Obviously, tonight she was playing the whole "I'm just so happy to be here" kind of character. So we'll see where that goes.
Yeah,
but yeah, I'm a fan of Lana's. I'm glad she's getting I mean, not the negativity, of course, but I'm glad she's getting a little bit of a focus, a center focus that doesn't involve her kissing another man besides her husband.
I know. And I think looking back on it now, you and I have been saying it for a couple of months now, that, I think being on TV every week, and you and I have said this before, being on TV every week, yes, going to a table, but it was a storyline. She was being used regularly, and this all led to a positive conclusion. Sometimes storylines for WWE, they take months to develop, and the whole storyline in the end, if you really look at it, this kind of is, reality in storyline, or storyline based on reality. Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler, social media. So Lana and Shayna Baszler putting her down, and she wins. So she overcomes the bullies, so to speak, And Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax kind of represented Twitter and Instagram.
Let me ask you something. Did you see anybody's commentary on the fact that it was Nia Jax putting Lana through the table 9 times? Did anybody say anything about that? Well, because they went through the recount. They showed the fact that, Nia Jax was the one that kept putting Lana through the table week after week after week.
Right, bully.
And considering Nia Jax's track record for hurting people, did anybody bring that up? I'm just curious if you saw anything, because I really didn't see anything. I was kind of surprised because people look for a reason just to dig at Nia Jax sometimes. And I thought that this was an interesting case where Nia's literally, and we know it's the breakaway table, blah, 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 but, at the same time, the fact that Nia's the one that's executing the move on a tiny little Lana over and over and over.
No injuries. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I tell you, look, I will say this. As far as the women's tag team division, I think 2020 was not bad for the WWE women's tag team division, because you had Sasha Banks and Bayley for a nice chunk of the year. You had Asuka and Kairi Sane for a part of 2020. I think Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler have actually done a decent job representing those tag titles. Yes, they haven't really defended it much against anybody, but that's the fault of the WWE, because they really don't have a solid tag team division. You see Shayna Baszler, and I actually really, I know this is kind of petty for some out there, but I actually like the fact that she always wears the belt around her waist. She doesn't put it over. Once in a while she'll have it on her shoulder, but for the most part, no matter what she does, she's got it around her waist. And, you could see that Shayna Baszler is pretty proud of it. And if you remember earlier this year, a lot of websites were saying, Vince, it just, that's it. He doesn't, there's no plans for Shayna Baszler, and he just it's falling out of favor. And, it's just not true. Just like tonight, did you see? Look, it's amazing how they keep getting it wrong. They were saying the last 24 to 36 hours, like, exclusive news, Drew McIntyre's next opponent. And everybody kept saying Lashley. Lashley's not in the match next week. We're either going to have AJ Styles, Matt Riddle, or Keith Lee take on Drew McIntyre next.
How do you feel about that change, that where we have these multiple number 1 contenders again?
I think it's overdone. I think that WWE, look, I think the Sheamus storyline is happening because Drew McIntyre, he sort of promised Sheamus a shot. And, like Drew McIntyre has not done that. Sheamus lost his match tonight. So I think down the line, Sheamus does turn on his friend. I personally think whoever's going to face Drew McIntyre next is just, taking the scenic route to what's going to happen afterwards. But these number 1 contender matches, it's WWE's, it's what I've been saying since the 90s on the hotlines. I always called it the Acme Insta Feud. Back when we had the Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote commercials, they would have like Wile E. Coyote to make these contraptions to try to capture the Roadrunner. He'd have Acme whatever. And it was like an instant thing to try. And these Acme Insta Feuds is you create a feud without any real storyline built. And, back in the day, 2 people would bump into each other in the back. Somebody would be getting coffee and bump into him, and the coffee drops on their shirt. Feud. There's the feud. So these number 1 contenders tournaments, it's designed to put 2 people together without a storyline, and it's fine to do it once in a while. But if you notice, it's over and over and over and over again. And I tell you, as sad as this is, and don't get me wrong, Halloween Havoc was awesome, but I think NXT has taken a major step backwards this year, partly due to injuries.
Really?
Yeah, I believe that because, like Halloween Havoc won on the Wednesday night ratings, and you got people saying, they needed gimmick matches. And my answer to that is, yeah, so? What's, you know what I mean? Like, if the fans only want to watch gimmick matches, to be glued to it. You know, that's on the fans as well. The fans want, you know, like uber main events and stipulations and storylines and this and gimmicks and that. I mean, back in the day, when we would go to house shows, there was always some
gimmick matches. Gimmick matches were usually a result of the head of a storyline.
Right.
You know what I mean? For the most part, they weren't just thrown out there unless it was like a special case scenario. Like it was the local boys versus someone else that was coming in, where there was no storyline other than the fact that it's my town versus your town.
Yeah.
But usually a lot of those gimmick matches, your cage matches, your ladder matches, your scaffold matches, these were all done as like in order to raise the bar on an already heated feud.
Right.
The problem isn't necessarily the fact that fans want gimmick matches. What the fans really want is a story that leads to a gimmick match that makes sense.
Yeah.
The biggest problem. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead. Continue.
I was just going to say the biggest problem is that, you know, they're structuring all these gimmick matches out there, and it's nice. It's nice that WWE is trying to do different gimmick matches and trying to throw things out there. Not necessarily the Acme Insta feud, but the idea that they are willing to do that, but there's no point. There's no consequence. There's no need for these gimmick matches when the winner doesn't go on to anything, when the loser doesn't lose anything. It's like, great, now you have a gimmick match and nobody fucking cares.
Yeah.
Nobody cares because there's nothing to it.
And I thought the blindfold match last week on NXT was like the poster child of what WWE has done wrong with NXT this year. Because I've been talking about this formula that they've been doing on Wednesdays repeatedly. And what they have gone into this habit of doing 9 out of every 10 NXT episodes is they open up with a very, very, very long match. And half of the time it ends in a clusterfuck finish or bullshit finish. Or they'll hype up a match all week and then end up with a really just ridiculously stupid finish. And this past Wednesday, you know, Leon Ruff versus Gargano, okay, you know, people aren't, you know, buying into Leon Ruff yet because his name is still new on TV. But, you know, to have somewhat of a competitive match, just to have Damian Priest hit him and cause the DQ finish, you know, I mean, it's just like a cheap way out. They did that tonight. Lashley and Keith Lee, they were having a great match. And for no reason whatsoever, MVP just hits the ring, causes the DQ. Why? I mean, I can understand if Keith Lee was beating the balls out of Lashley towards the end of the match and, you know, like Lashley's title was on the line. You know what I mean? Right. But Lashley had nothing to lose if he got pinned. And MVP just decides to stop beating on Keith Lee and get disqualified. And I'm looking at that and I'm like, that's almost as bad as Cameron Grimes in a blindfold match just running away. And there's no conclusion. There's no restart. And like I said, I love William Regal and I love his character. But this is something, for all of these years that William Regal has been like the GM of NXT, this is something that you never ever thought about William Regal over those years. William Regal, he's at Boa's house. He's confronting Leon Rush. He's confronting Damian Priest. He's confronting Johnny Gargano. He's confronting all these people. And yet, Cameron Grimes runs away. Where is, in storyline, where's William Regal coming out there and doing something about it? Why isn't he trying to find, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's too many times where he suddenly becomes absent. Was he taking a shit? You know what I mean? Like, it's just, there's no consistency.
I mean, I think that's more of a personal level, don't you? I don't think it's necessarily a storyline issue with William Regal. Don't you feel that he's not there all the time, that he's almost like a special draw?
Oh, yeah, but that's WWE's writing. I mean, you have William Regal on 5 or 6 segments Wednesday,
right.
And the one segment that he should have been involved in more than anything else was when Cameron Grimes just runs away and nothing.
Right. Right.
This is, man.
You're right. It is the writing issue. I mean, NXT, I don't think NXT's had a bad year. I'll disagree with you on that. I will say that the stars that the main roster has ransacked from NXT have not gone on to much. I think right now out of 2020, who's the only one that's really gotten over? I think is Shayna. You know, and she's kind of everybody else that's over is not doing. I mean, I guess Keith Lee is out there. He's trying. He's the little engine that could right now, but I still don't feel like. Well, you know what I mean.
I know,
but I don't think that the guy has as much of a big presence as even Shayna does.
What's up, Neil?
We don't even want to go into the sad effects of guys like Black and et cetera are coming back up there. So
yeah,
I don't know, man. I think. I mean, Bianca Belair, obviously, she kind of got her shine in the sun a little bit at Survivor Series, which was nice to see.
Did a very good job. Payne Royce did a great job, too.
Yeah, I just really question why WWE brings up these people out of NXT if they really don't seem to have much for them. It almost feels like the people that they bring up from NXT is a popularity choice in order to strike while the iron's hot. But the problem is that the WWE main roster and the people that are booking and formulating these storylines don't necessarily know how to capitalize on what made them popular in NXT.
Thank you, Neil.
Keith Lee was on fire in NXT. And right now, he feels kind of like a goober.
Yeah, Keith Lee. I mean, like I said, everything he talks, it's like that, the promo, 1 minute, and then Matt Riddle. I mean, look, I personally think, what was that character in Fast Times at Ridgemont High? Sean Penn. What was his character?
His name. That was my skull.
What's that guy's name? What did he play? I'm sure somebody in the chat room knows. Jeff Spicoli? Jeff Spicoli? Jeff? I don't remember Jeff. Spicoli. All right, we'll just go with Spicoli. All right, Spicoli. I seriously think that Vince McMahon looks at Matt Riddle and thinks of Spicoli from Fast Times at Ridgemont High, because he comes across like a happy-go-lucky airhead, going up to the Hurt Business. Oh, let's have pizza-flavored yogurt. And then they do that awful segment in the beginning, with the exception of Braun, which I like Braun, but... Matt Riddle, and I wrote it down. He said, I beat King Corbin. Does that make me King Bro? Do I get a crown? I want to become WWE champion as well. It was just, like he comes off like Spicoli. It's almost like he's not stoned, but he's playing like he's stoned. Because some of the things he says, like you could picture us saying like, dude, bro, do I get a crown too? You know what, bro? I could go for some yogurt right now. I could go for some pizza right now. Oh, oh my God, I got it. What about the best of both worlds? Let's make yogurt, pizza flavored yogurt, bro. Oh, I just had it just hit me. I mean, I smoked weed only like 4 or 5 times in my life. It always gave me a headache and the munchies. But seriously, he comes off like he's stoned, like he's one of these stoned beach bums. And I'm not trying to criticize Matt Riddle, but his character comes off. It's almost like, I mean, you take him and Nikki Cross, and as far as the characters go, I mean, you have the IQ of a Rubik's Cube. You have the IQ of a rock. I mean, right. Nikki Cross comes off. It's not naive, heartbroken, denial. No, she comes off like an idiot. I don't care about Lexi no more. I don't care about the Fiend no more. Tonight, I'm going to beat the Fiend out of Lexi. And then Lexi starts crying. Oh, you okay? Tonight, I honestly wish tonight, and I'm not trying to be controversial, hear me out.
Nikki is a cave woman. Can we just be honest about this? Nikki Cross is a cave woman. I completely agree with you.
I wish Nikki Cross was a man tonight.
She opens up a can of soup with a rock.
Let me ask you a question. How come no one gives low blows to women? Because if that was a man in the ring tonight, when Alexa Bliss was on her knees, I would have just done one of these. I mean, women out there. I mean, I don't know if there's any women in the chat right now. You know, a couple of people that, you know, don't like me very much. You know, you are little girls as well. But for women out there, I'm serious. I mean, I don't know if you've ever had it happen to you before, and I don't want you to just sit in your house and do this to yourself. But if you get, like, low-blowed in the crotch, it's got to hurt. I mean, it's still got to hurt. How come they don't do low blows to women?
No, because they don't have balls, DT.
But it's still an organ. If I go like this, it hurts. 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 So if I go over there, it don't hurt.
Male genitalia with our testicles happens to be a lot more sensitive to sudden impact than a woman's body.
So you mean to tell me if this is a vagina, and I go like this really hard, you mean to tell me she's not going to go, ow?
Sure, it'll hurt, but it won't be debilitating. If you hit somebody, okay, all right. So the reason why it hurts men more than it hurts women is because when you crush the testicles, when you hit them, there's a sudden surge of pain that can cause a man to keel over. Women don't have that. They don't get exposed to that. There is still nerves, of course, and they still feel it, but they don't have such a cluster of nerves that we do in our testicles.
I'm looking in the chat. No women in the chat tonight. Tomorrow when I go see my mom and my dad, I'm going to go up to my mom. I'm going to like, Ma, I dropped something on the floor. And she'll be like, oh, let me pick it up. I said, no, I'll go pick it up. And when I go on the floor, I'm going to go like this. And see if my mom goes, you know, like, ow. Or, you know, like, the fuck do you doing?
Here you go. Here's a good example. Have you ever sat on your nuts?
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure a woman has never sat on her nuts. I've sat on my nuts. Maybe I'm getting old. But that is a horrible, painful experience. A woman will never understand what it's like to be a man and sit on his nuts.
Seriously, I think Nikki Cross tonight was the one night that I wish Nikki Cross was a man. Because if she was a man in the ring, you know there would have been that low blow. And that would have been it. I mean, she just, like I said, I like Nikki Cross, and this is not her fault. This is the storyline that WWE's given her. WWE's made her to look out. I used to say it used to be like a dog that keeps getting abused but still keeps coming back, wagging the tail, acting like nothing ever happened. Lexi breaks my mug. Lexi sets my shirt on fire. Lexi dumps me for a fiend. Lexi did this. Lexi burned my plane tickets. I can't go back to Scotland. Lexi did this. Lexi did that. Lexi gave me this. But she keeps coming back, wagging her tail, acting like nothing. And now it's even worse. You know, now it's like, I'm going to knock the fiend out of Lexi. And you didn't do that. What's left for her? I really think you got to move her to SmackDown, do a storyline where her and Otis go on a date. Seriously, Otis and and Nikki Cross should go on a date. And it's got to be something, you know, like, it's got to be something like where they go to like a Chuck E. Cheese or something like little children like to do, or they go in a park and they go in the seesaw or whatever. Like they got to like be like the absolute simple. You know, just like walking around and like, ooh, a berry. You know, just like, I don't know, man. It just, okay. DX girl. Oh, DX girl. She said it hurts down there when you do that.
Yes, and Gabriella was also educating me, saying that it does hurt women. It does, but it doesn't hurt a woman believably to the point that a woman could not recover from a low blow. For a man, if you hit a man hard enough in the testicles, he can pass out and go into convulsions. He can literally go into convulsions. He can swallow his own tongue from getting hit in the balls so hard. So... Can we just sit there and say hitting a guy in the crotch versus hitting a woman in the crotch is a different thing? It's a different pain.
But they should do it at least once. I mean, I don't know why they don't do it. if anybody out there ever interviews anybody, women in wrestling, and you have like a nice down-to-earth casual interview, just ask them, say, you know, I'm curious, how come women never give each other low blows in the ring? Just, I really want to know. I mean, there's a couple of women in wrestling that I could actually ask, but it'd be kind of awkward after, you know, I don't talk to them all that often and be like, hey, by the way, you know, I just got something on my mind that I've always wanted to ask you, you know, and then whatever. But one thing Alexa Bliss also did great tonight, and we paid tribute to him at the beginning of the show. You know, I honestly hope that they do still come out with the stuffed animal version of it. But Alexa Bliss killed Friendship Frog. We got green goo coming out of his mouth. Friendship Frog. If 2020 could be an animal, that's what 2020 looks like. Some people in podcasting land, that's what they look like to me. I mean, it's just like, I like that character, Friendship Frog, a little bit of intelligence. Maybe they do like Rambling Rabbit. Maybe Friendship Frog just shows up next week and, you know, Alexa Bliss. You know, and I couldn't resist. I went on Twitter and I wrote that Friendship Frog croaked. Get it? Croaked, ribbit, croaked, death. Nobody got that. I first put it up and people like, what? I'm like, you don't get the joke, do you? But what did you think of that Friendship Frog character today?
I don't. I don't even think of them. I really don't. It's
Friendship Frog. Look at that. That's a pretty awesome character, Friendship Frog. That almost looks like the WB Frog.
Right, seriously. That's what I thought too. When I was
hello, my man, blah, 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 blah. You remember when he used to have the top hat and start dancing?
Yep.
Friendship Frog.
Shot on the CW network?
I don't have it, but I can pull it up later on. But
no, I'm saying, do you think there was a shot on the CW network?
I don't know. I don't know. Because this was, I think what happened was they wanted to use the theme friendship for Alexa to bash Nikki Cross in the Firefly Funhouse segment. So they thought of friendship, and they would probably looked at like what animals begin with the letter F. You know, in fact, I'm curious, chat room, could you look up very quickly animals beginning with the letter F? And something Fox. Tells, huh?
Fox?
Friendship Fox?
Oh, I guess you couldn't use the Fox because that's another network, huh?
Oh, yeah. That's true. That's true. Friendship Ferret? It doesn't roll off the tongue. The Friendship Ferret.
Ferrets are awfully friendly for some form of other people.
You couldn't use a fish because then you'd have to use the bowl, you know?
Friendship fish, yes.
You know, unless you use that one on, what's that, American Dad? You know? That
Falcon?
fish. He's
Friendship
good.
Falcon.
The Falcon. We already got a bird sort of on the Firefly Funhouse. Flamingo's another bird.
A bird, yeah.
Yeah, so I guess, you know, Friendship Frog is kind of easy, you know. We'll put a little glass and a top hat on him, and he's intelligent. Well, he got his ass handed to him tonight.
What about oh, sorry. I was going to say a flea. But that's a never mind.
It would be really, really small. I mean, they could have just stepped on it and it could have been like flat and showed it on the floor, but they don't really show. You notice on the Firefly Funhouse, they never show the floor. We don't know if it's rug or if it's tile, Formica. No, Formica is a wall. Well, no, that's a countertop. If it's tile or if it's, you know, parquet floors, rug. Yeah. We don't know what the floor is. You know, somebody's going to ask Bray Wyatt, you know, what's on the floor? God bless. What's on the floor? So, but, you know, I got a kick out of it as well. He was 20 years old. He was old enough to get laid. He was old enough to vote. 20 years old. Friendship Frog. So, anyway, he's dead for now. For now, Friendship Frog. I liked it. I actually thought it was pretty smart. I thought it was pretty good. Oh yeah, Michigan J Frog is the one from the we saw with the CW.
Yeah.
And that didn't originate from the CW network, everyone. That was a cartoon back in the Bugs Bunny era, where somebody got a frog and the frog would just croak, and then all of a sudden the frog started singing and everything, and the guy brings them to Broadway and he won't sing. So,
and the guy stole it from him, and yep.
Look, the fact that we're talking this long about a fucking stuffed animal frog should tell everybody the caliber of Raw tonight.
It was a bad Raw.
Yeah. I want to give a shout out to Franz Truter. He's one of our patrons, friend of the family since 2014. Last night, he was tuning in live all the way from South Africa. And it was like 7 in the morning where he was, and he was up all night watching Survivor Series, checking out the shows. And I actually did a little bit of a Google Map search, and he is 8,000 miles away from us. 8,000. And I was like, how far is that really? And I looked up Italy. I haven't been there since I was a teenager. Italy is only 4,200 miles away. Abu Dhabi is 6,800 miles away. Iran is 6,400 miles away. Japan is 6,700 miles away. The only country that I know people that listen to and watch what we do that is farther is Australia. Australia is 11,000 miles away. But, man, South Africa, 8,000 miles away. He was tuning in yesterday. I told him I wanted to give him a special shout-out today. So,
oh, very cool,
man. Yeah.
Very cool. Thank you.
Yeah. Special shout-out to Cleric of Chaos as well. Very, very talented. Does a lot of music. And I invite everyone out there. He's on YouTube. Just search the name Cleric of Chaos. Chat room. You always have Cleric in the chat room. I made a little tiny URL. Tiny URL. It's go to tinyurl.com/Cleric of Chaos. You could see a body of work that he's done in music. Very, very talented.
Very nice guy. Sent me a birthday gift, so much love to him.
Oh, very nice. You didn't send me shit, prick. Dick. I told you last week, send me your new address. I want to send you something for your birthday. I have to. About that. I'm sorry. Yeah, I have to apologize also. I apologized after the fact last week. Everyone, last Monday, I forgot to wish Mish a happy birthday on this show. Last week was his birthday. So everyone out there, in case you weren't aware, happy birthday to Mish. If you want to send him a gift, you send it to patreon.com/Don Tony. You make out the money orders to Anthony. No, I'm only kidding. Don't do that. But it really was his birthday last week. So, Mish, happy birthday, my friend.
Oh, thank you, DT. Much love to everybody, too. Thank you very much for the well wishes. I appreciate it.
And do you know Franz is tuning in right now? And right now, 8,000 miles away, he's tuning in. So much love, my brother. Seriously,
What time is it over there right now?
Huh?
What time is it over there right now, do you
think? It's got to be like 5:55 a.m., I believe. What time is it over there? Don't super chat that, but I think it's 5:55 a.m. or 6:55 a.m. actually. What time is it over there, Franz? I want to see. For the people on the archive, especially audio, there's like a 6-second delay. 6 a.m. Okay, 5:55 a.m. over there. I still haven't even looked up what currency is ZAR. I have never heard of that currency before. I'm impressed. I'm always fascinated when I see new things that I haven't learned. I've always tried to get new information.
Huh? That's what it's called. ZAR is the South African Rand.
Awesome, man. That's awesome. Hey, before we get back to Raw, and everyone, as you noticed tonight, don't have much to get into. We're talking about Raw. We'll comment a little bit about Undertaker, a little bit more adding on to yesterday. Also, sure. I want to have a nice little fun discussion with Mish about Survivor Series yesterday in a minute. But I just wanted to post these because, as you saw on SmackDown, Seth Rollins now getting his ass handed to him from Murphy. Yesterday at Survivor Series, for the greater good, he lets himself get sacrificed and he loses. And Becky Lynch is very close to giving birth. It's going to happen within the next week or two at the most. I wouldn't be surprised if it's happening even sooner. But they posted pictures last week of the two.
Yes, they did.
And I have a couple of photos I figured I'd share with everyone. If you haven't seen these photos yet, you know, look, you know, we are used to seeing Becky Lynch with her hair made a certain way, makeup a certain way, you know, to reflect the wrestler we see on TV. That's why sometimes when you see Liv Morgan and Carmella and some others, you know, away from the cameras, just, you know, no makeup, just being themselves, you don't even recognize them sometimes. But my God, I almost felt perverted to say, I mean, Becky Lynch was always attractive, but I looked at these photos and I was like, you know what, I could even make it a little bit bigger. I think, you know, I didn't want it to block out. Oh, why is it not getting bigger? Why is it not getting bigger? I don't know why.
Oh, it's getting bigger.
No, that's gross. No, I don't know. I don't know why it didn't get like the scene from Airplane, and he's getting larger. All right. For some reason, the photos don't want to get bigger, but all right. So there you go. That is her and Seth Rollins. I mean, my God. Oh no. I was trying to make it a little bit larger. I don't know why. Maybe because we're live and it won't reset on me, but yeah. I mean, you could see enough. I mean, my screen is a little bit, I have the box pretty minimized right now, but yeah, I mean, she looks phenomenal. There's two pictures here. Is this one of them? My goodness. I mean, she just looks outstanding. I would not even recognize that to be Becky Lynch. Seriously. I want to see if I could pull up a bigger picture of that. Let me see. I'm sure. Yeah, I can. So here, check this out. I mean, that is a big, yeah, there you go. There's a bigger picture of it. In fact, I'm going to make all the pictures a little bit bigger. We'll make it bigger. Hold on a second. There we go. All right. Yeah. So let's do that. Let's get out of this and let's do this. There you go. Much better. I mean, look, I understand there's a lot of people out there that don't like the Seth Rollins character, but how anybody can like really put that down, I mean, look, people want to joke a little bit that Seth Rollins is going to be off TV for a little while, fine. But you put that down, you really got to be some type of creepy, lonely person to do that, you know? But what do you think about these pictures?
Well, it's nice that you changed your hair color a little bit, huh?
Yeah. I mean, that picture, she like
amazing to me. It's amazing to me after all the stink that Colby put out there about people asking him, daring to ask him about his wife and how she's doing and what a big deal it is that fans, you know, respect their privacy to the point that they don't even bring it up. I think it's wild that for a guy who's been protecting his wife so adamantly, and for Becky, who apparently didn't want any kind of public attention, they're now putting out photographs that are not just public attention, but, you know, they're staged photographs. It's not just like it's a random snapshot of, oh, haha, look at the happy couple. These are stylized photographs, DT. These are taken by a professional photographer. It's very odd. It's very misleading of Colby or Seth Rollins for the rest of the world that was curious about how far along Becky's doing, how Becky is feeling, or how are they prepared for becoming brand new parents. Like, all these questions were just, you know, too much for the couple.
You know what I think? I think this focus was on Becky more than anything, but I also look at it like this. My mom has pictures of her pregnant with me. And I know a lot of expecting mothers will, I mean, obviously they don't get that type of treatment with the makeup and the lighting and, you know, just the background like they had. But, you know, my mom, probably, you know, I don't ask how much she spent when she was pregnant with me, but, you know, she posed in front of the house, she posed in the yard, she posed here, you know, but the thing is this is something as a memory, a very special memory. And I think
something else, that exact same thing that you're talking about with your mom, and I just want to throw this out there. I guarantee, even though you don't know, but I would absolutely guarantee that there were people, strangers, just people around the neighborhood that would see your mom pregnant with you and would come up and say, oh, when's the baby due? They might even put their hands on your mom's belly just to do that. Like, this is what strangers do. And they don't do it to be malicious. They did it because people care about pregnant women. They care about babies. It's part of human society. It's not wrong. It's a cultural thing. So I'm sure your mother had a lot of people that came up to her and God forbid if people opened the door for your mom or if she got on a bus, they got up out of their seat and gave her their seat. My mom would have
loved that. She would have loved that. You know? She would have loved that. I know today, like I said, you know, we're in a really weird time because I even brought this up last year. It happened to me. I was walking out of the post office. Some of you already know this story. I was walking out of the post office, and I am nice to everybody. I mean, I just try to be really, really nice. I try to treat people how I want to be treated in return. And I was leaving the post office, and there was a woman that was going into the post office. So as I was walking out and she was walking in, I held the door open. Because I just feel it's rude to close the door in somebody's face. Right. And she looked at me and she says, I don't need you to hold the door with me. I have two hands. And I was like, oh, sorry. And I let the door go and I walked away and I said to myself, wow. You know, I mean, you know, I just really, really rubbed me.
That's the insanity of people today, though, because you actually have a woman that's sitting there saying, I have two hands. I can do it myself. Yeah. They really think that in the moment that you're just holding the door open to be a gentleman, they think that you're taking away the power, DT. You're taking away their power and you're enslaving them with your genitals because you're a man and she's a woman, and that's a sexist move. And it's like this mindset that people have for just general kindness in society needs to fucking reel back in. I'm so done with it. Yeah. I'm so done with this. Well, if you do something nice for somebody else, it clearly means that you want to have a stranglehold on the culture. I'm done with it. Yeah. You know what you should have done? You should have slammed the door in her face, DT. That's what you should have fucking done.
I try to avoid confrontation. You know, I mean...
that shit pisses me off, dude. Like, I believe you. I believe you were being a genuine human being. You were just holding open the door because you were taught manners when you were a kid, because you were raised the right way in order to hold open a door and ask somebody if they're okay or if they need help. Like, these are common things that people that are raised correctly do for one another. And now you have a society that villainizes that. And I can't stand it, man. I just can't stand it.
Well, just to summarize, congratulations again to Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins. I personally have no problem with them doing a little bit of pictorial gallery. They are celebrities at the end of the day. I mean, Seth Rollins agreed to take a couple of photos now. I thought they were very respectful and professionally done. And, you know, I look at it like this also. When their kid is born and their kid is old enough to understand those photos, I think if he or she looked back and said, Mommy or Daddy, how come you're not in these photos? You know what I mean? Like, it would be like I look. In fact, some of you said tonight you want to see the pictures of my mom at the time. Maybe I'll take a couple tomorrow and I'll show you. But you know, there's pictures of my father hold the, you know, like the arm, the hand on the stomach and everything. Like if my father was absent in those photos, I probably would have said like that. How come you're not in these photos? You know, you're too cool for school and you can't be in those photos. So I like the fact, and I said this also last Wednesday. I don't know how you feel about it. And I know I was being a little bit harsh on the Bellas, but I just loved the fact that Moxley and Renee Young just announced it. They ended up doing a People interview afterwards. So they ended up doing a People article anyway, but they didn't do what the Bellas did and have people break this stuff. They just put it out there, you know, and I thought that was awesome. I absolutely love that because those are two people that are celebrities that, you know, they knew the spotlight was going to be on them the minute that the news was official. But,
right.
And there's no escaping that. But the fact that they just put it out there like normal human beings, not like I said with the Bellas, nothing personal against them. But when they first gave birth, if people remember, I went on my show or our show and I said, I bet you they do not reveal the names of the kids until People Magazine does it. They need to have magazines and spotlight and spectacle. I want to see what the Bellas do 10 years from now. Seriously, I want to see what they do 10 years from now. Suddenly, they'll be responding to everybody on social media and interacting. They'll want to say hello when it's time to say goodbye.
Of course.
But
of course.
I loved it. I loved that Moxley and Renee Young did that last week. I mean, I don't think Renee Young, you know, thought that he was just going to blurt it out like that. But that was cool. That was really cool.
It was. It was well received, too. And I will give AEW credit because I think if you did that on WWE, I don't know if it would have went over so well. Because look at what happened when, you know, Rusev or Miro and Lana announced, you know, their marriage. Look at the backlash that came from the company.
Well, the storyline at the time, they were feuding.
I understand that. But what I'm saying is AEW as a company, and I've given them flack, so please, you know, adjust your headset for my compliment to the company. But it was very nice that the company didn't come down on them, that they weren't worried about any repercussions, that there was no backlash for him breaking character for a moment to tell the world what's going on. I have to sit there and say that was a good way to handle that, and it was very cool to hear.
Yeah. I want to give, as far as Patreon, I want to give a shout out to our contest winners from last night. I know that's going to throw people for a loop. They're like, wait a minute, you already did the entries? Remember, I'm going on vacation this week. Right after Wednesday Night Dynamite Wednesday, which will be an abbreviated show, I am going to pass out, getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning. I want to be on the road by 7. I want to be out of New York as quickly as possible. But so what I did last night, after the show was over, I was up until about 4:30 in the morning going through everybody's entries. I want to congratulate Ed Vary. He won the Survivor Series predictions contest. He scored 19 out of 20 points. Blew everybody away. Amzo and Lee Friel both scored 16. They get the runner-up prize. So those three, PM me on Patreon, and I'll hook you up with your prizes. Also, for everyone who is part of our Patreon, tomorrow night, we'll be doing breakfast soup. It'll be from 8 till about 9:30, 9:45 p.m. We're going to do Q&A. We're going to finish the A to Z that we did last week. And Kev Castle, believe it or not, will be joining Mish and I tomorrow. It's going to be, you know, just Q&A, A to Z, lighthearted, you know. So for everyone out there that is still in DTKC denial, if you tune in tomorrow night, you'll get a dose of it. So we promise once a month and minimum, we'll do a show, the three of us together. So that'll be on Patreon tomorrow night. So, so getting back to Raw tonight, why do you think they wrote off Braun Strowman? Did they just not want him to be pinned? Did they just not want him to be disqualified? I mean, where does Braun Strowman fit in the current equation now since he headbutted Adam Pearce?
I don't know. Braun Strowman's character has been one of the most tumultuous. It has been one of the most undefined directions for a guy who should have been so clearly defined years ago. Caring about Braun Strowman has become a difficult concept because he is a guy who, by all rights and appearances and his promos and his size and his ability, should be looked at as the top guy or one of the top guys in the title hunt at all times, if not the title holder. And his character has been so abused that the fact that they took him off of TV just, I don't know, DT, doesn't even surprise me anymore.
See, I disagree with you.
Wash my hands of Braun Strowman because I really, really like Braun Strowman. I just feel that he's been so aimless for so long. The closest they got to bringing him back to normal was when they had that feud with him and Bray Wyatt. I thought there was a spark there that was going to go somewhere unique. And the feud itself was okay, but once again, it just felt like once the feud was over, Bray Wyatt was off doing Bray Wyatt things. And Braun Strowman was off doing nothing. I don't know, man. It's difficult for me to care about Braun anymore.
See, I disagree with you because I think WWE does look at Braun Strowman as one of the top guys in the company. And that's why they did this, because they don't want him to be pinned right now. They don't want him to look, I thought that they really harmed Braun Strowman's momentum when he had that match with Roman Reigns on SmackDown not too long ago. And when Roman Reigns had him tap out, and to watch, like I said, if anybody out there doesn't remember it, go back and watch the finish of that match. Just watch the finish. After the match is over, Braun Strowman, and I'm sorry for being graphic, and I apologize for anybody who has ever went through this. It's the only way I could describe it. Braun Strowman rolled around the ring like a dog that just got hit by a car that had broken legs. He just rolled around, and the problem was the segment went too long. And, Braun Strowman should have immediately just rolled out of the ring so the focus was off of him entirely. But instead, he's rolling around, grimacing in pain, and this is that. And this is like the monster. And to me, it really hurt him. And I think right now, they don't want to have these losses piled up. So I think their way out was, look, we want to protect him as one of the top guys, but it's just not his time yet. So instead, we'll just make him like a loose cannon. They just had Randy Orton. When Randy Orton put his hands on Adam Pearce and they immediately tried to do that fine thing, I think that was designed for Braun Strowman, because now Braun Strowman did even worse than Randy Orton. So in storyline, you got to do something, Yeah. And I just feel like, okay, they said, Braun, we don't have anything for you right now. We want to focus on some of the guys that are below you that we want to help elevate a little bit. So we're going to do a storyline where you're going to headbutt Adam Pearce, management or authority, and as a result, you're going to be suspended 30 days. In fact, WWE even put a poll on social media tonight. Which one would you give Braun Strowman? $10,000 fine or 30-day suspension? And I thought that was so dopey for them to do, because wrestling fans, they would rather see Braun Strowman on TV. So the poll is overwhelmingly for the fine. And the fine is fake. So it's just, I don't know, man. That just goes to show you how thin the WWE storylines are right now. That like you said about the contender matches. They do some of these contender matches and it eats up over half the show. So, but, for those that didn't see Raw tonight, we had Team Raw in the ring with Adam Pearce. Adam Pearce is trying to figure out who's going to face Drew McIntyre next. Wanted to reward, I guess, someone for winning Survivor Series team yesterday and dominating. And, everybody's taking turns why they should be the person. And Braun just got he snapped, and he just was yelling at Adam Pearce, "You got to choose me," and he headbutts Adam Pearce, and they go to quick commercial to make it look like it was not planned.
Right.
But I'll tell you one thing that I really, and I love Charlie Caruso. I think she is beautiful. I think she is talented. I think she does her job very well. But these 3-4 segments so close to each other. Adam, did you figure out what you're going to do yet about the title picture? Adam, what are you going to do about Braun Strowman? I mean, they did 3 or 4 segments almost back to back to back to back. And I was like, in storyline, if I was Adam Pearce, I would be like, Charlie, fucking go do something. Leave me the fuck alone. It was just one after the other. Adam, I must get an answer here. Adam, it was just, oh man, it was so annoying today. It was so annoying. I'm not saying that Braun Strowman was suspended, everyone, but they're doing this to get him as a reason why they don't want him to be in this tournament. So, I don't know. It is what it is. Then we had, last week, Hurt Business, Shelton and Cedric. They took on the New Day for the tag titles and lost. For some reason, it happened again tonight. And I don't know if it was an intentional, spot, but right. Shelton Benjamin and Kofi got counted out. And it seemed like maybe that wasn't supposed to be. If you go back and watch it, it looked a little bit awkward. And, you had MVP, who suddenly is very physical in all the matches. I don't know if anybody noticed that, right. But MVP tonight, oh, you guys don't want to win like that, and let's restart the match. And they restarted the match, and the New Day end up beating Cedric and Shelton Benjamin. Yeah. And when this match was over, we were already at 8:45 p.m. That was the first match of the night. We were ready at 8:45 p.m. What'd you think of the match?
I didn't care for it. It was gaga. I'm still kind of, I don't know. I don't see anything coming from this. I don't know what they're trying to do. It doesn't feel like a real feud. Everything feels very forced, very paint by numbers. Like I said at the beginning of the show tonight, everything that's been going on for Raw tonight felt very paint by numbers. It was a lot of just rehashed things that they do. Even, I don't know. This was a bad follow-up for Survivor Series. And I know that you enjoyed Survivor Series.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to pick your brain about. You and I...
Coming out of that, yeah, we totally have different views on last night's event.
I gave it a 7 out of 10. I gave it a 7 out of 10. And I lurked on Discord. By the way, shout out to my clan on the YouTube chat. Apparently, the chat on Discord doesn't like all of you out there. So, and some of you are, you go both ways, which I totally look, I say that in lighthearted fun. If anybody out there is upset because I only focus on one chat, and that is the YouTube chat, since I'm a video show now, that's your problem. That's not mine. But the reason why I gave it a 7 out of 10, and I know I got lambasted by a lot of people yesterday when I said that, and the reason why I gave it a 7 out of 10 is because for COVID standards, we didn't have a real bad match. If you want to put Lashley and Sami Zayn in there, okay. But Asuka Sasha Banks was very good. The tag match with the Street Profits and the New Day was very good. Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre, the second half of that match was pay-per-view quality, without a doubt. I'm leaving out the Survivor Series matches. I thought they told a good story. They were more storyline driven than anything else. So
other than the main event, what other stories were being told?
Well, the storyline was that
exhibition matches.
When I did my predictions on Friday, I said that the storyline with Team Raw, week after week after week, is that they didn't get along. But on Survivor Series, they were going to put it all together and they were going to dominate. That was my prediction with that team. So the storyline was that they put all of their animosity towards each other aside, and they, for a brief moment, were a cohesive unit, and they dominated and they kicked ass. The other storyline was Jey Uso losing and Roman Reigns being uber disappointed in him, and as a result, Jey Uso felt he needed to get on the good graces of Roman Reigns again and get involved in the main event, which I didn't want to have happen, but that kind of saves Drew a little bit, because they've been pushing this number 2 thing, and some people in social media are infatuated calling Drew number 2. It's a fucking storyline. You know what I mean? So they got to try to help regain Drew a little bit. He didn't tap out. He passed out. Drew, he lost with the help of another person. So there's special circumstances. So you protected Drew McIntyre. They did fine with Roman Reigns. They made the storyline with Lana make sense. She overcame she put one up on the bullies.
You can't just go through every single match. You got to stop and let me rebut.
Well, I'm just telling you why I gave it a 7 out of 10. Everything seemed to actually make sense.
Okay. Well, it didn't, because that main event, none of that needed to happen. Everything that you talked about in that main event, that entire storyline with Jey Uso and Paul Heyman and the secondary referee, none of it mattered. When is Drew going to get his comeuppance? When is Drew and Roman going to have their rematch? Next Survivor Series? Like, there's no point to any of that happening. The only kind of storyline that was built up was the dissension between Uso and Roman Reigns. Other than that, nothing mattered. If Drew won that match, would it have mattered?
Oh,
if
yeah.
Drew lost that match,
it would have made everything that Roman Reigns has been saying about being ahead of the table make him look like a goof.
Drew's not related to Roman Reigns, DT.
Right. But Roman Reigns cannot fail right now.
But it has nothing to do with that. That's a family thing. Right. Drew's not part of the family. Like, literally, that whole main event meant nothing. Nothing. Now, don't get me wrong. This is what it kind of leads to, is I think that the reason that the whole pay-per-view felt very bad is because there was no reason for it. There was no consequences. Nothing was lost. Nothing was gained. Every match, Sasha and Asuka, nothing was lost. Nothing was gained. Sasha won. Great. When are they going to have their next match? When are they going to be on the same brand again? You see what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying. I guess, you know what I think it is? I'm looking at it more like a regular pay-per-view and not Survivor Series. Like, this felt more like WWE bragging rights last night.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So I'm kind of looking at it as like a regular pay-per-view. I think the Undertaker stuff was going to overshadow no matter what was going to be on that card.
That was kind of what I think that's what everybody was hoping, though. I think everybody was hoping that Survivor Series was going to be about The Undertaker. And the way that they structured it, you know, replaying the Metallica video package again, I don't know, man. That whole thing was bad. Everybody coming out in the beginning and congratulating each other, but nobody being around for Undertaker. Like, it didn't even make sense. And Kane was dressed up to wrestle. Why was Kane dressed up to wrestle? Everybody else is in business suits. It just... And like somebody pointed out, I said, like, where's Midian? But he was out as the Godwins. It's like, why would Midian be out as a Godwin? Why would he be out there? Why wouldn't he be out there as a Midian? You know, it's just, there was a lot of weird things. A lot of people that should have been there. Stone Cold, one of his greatest opponents.
I was talking about that last night. I was talking about last night. There you go.
They couldn't get Ted DiBiase out there. They couldn't get Brother Love out there. I mean, come on, man. We're talking about simple stuff. But they made time for what? JBL? Come on. JBL Undertaker was not like some light up the world feud. Ric Flair, I love Ric Flair, but Ric Flair and Undertaker's feud is not one for the ages. Stone Cold and Undertaker is something that should have been out there. John Cena should have made an appearance.
The Rock.
Because in the early days of Bling Bling John Cena, it was his feud with The Undertaker that took him to the next level. You know, it's just, it was a lot of oversight. It was a lot of weird direction. I don't know. I didn't like it. I thought, and then the whole pomp and circumstance of, and then he comes out, they do the vignette package, and he comes out to his entrance, cuts a 30-second promo, and then just leaves. And I won't mention the crowd noise. because that's not WWE's fault. And I was trying to convince Joe of that. I was trying to convince other people of that yesterday. The crowd noise is not WWE or Vince's fault, because Undertaker is the one that chose to retire now. If he retires, knock on wood, okay? If he retires. But if this was the last time that we saw him, this was Undertaker's choice. Because does anybody out there in their right mind think that Vince McMahon wants Undertaker to retire? Does anybody believe that BS narrative? Because I'm pretty sure that's not true. I'm pretty sure that the reason that Undertaker's retiring is because he wants to retire. He wants to go home to his wife and kiddo. He wants to do other things not involved in the ring. He even said in an ESPN interview and a different interview too, he can't do it no more. He can't stress his body to get ready for WrestleManias anymore. He's just at that age. He doesn't want to work that hard for that. And obviously Vince McMahon will always be the guy that can make him come out of retirement, but let's not paint the audio and all that stuff on.
I had no problem with the audio.
Yeah, I mean it was a little. It should have been done in front of a crowd of 30,000. I mean, I even said that yesterday. I'm like, the biggest flaw with the whole Undertaker thing is this should have taken place in a crowd of 30,000, and obviously because of the stupid year that we're in, that's not going to happen. I think that there could have been a better setting for all of this, and here was my idea. The way that they could have made this better, which I don't understand why they didn't do, is why did they not pre-tape all of this? Why was this not set up differently? This should have been so production heavy, DT, that's what it should have been. It should have been completely based on clips, vignettes, storylines. Like, it should have been a presentation, a WWE presentation within Survivor Series. And I'm not talking about the 3-minute Metallica clip. You know what I mean? This should have been something different.
See, after the pay-per-view yesterday and did the show, I thought about the pay-per-view again a little bit. What I would have definitely done different yesterday is every 20 or 30 minutes you play, or even after each match, you play a highlight of Undertaker's career. Undertaker beating Hogan for the title early in his career. The spot with Hell in a Cell with Foley. Inferno with Kane. You just a couple of highlights during the pay-per-view. This way, it keeps your mind on The Undertaker throughout the pay-per-view. I mean, we all knew where it was leading, but I think you put little snippets all throughout the pay-per-view. I know this sounds cold, and I don't mean it to be cold. Just something for everybody to think about. Undertaker is a very private person, obviously. Is it possible that the reason why Undertaker chose now, so he didn't have to do it in front of live fans? And what I mean by that is, if anybody was there live and in person, and paid big money to be there for the Undertaker's farewell, and then you had live fans there, and then got this very, if you live on the East Coast or you work for WWE, you could come, group of people, because there was notable names absent. I think if there were live fans in attendance yesterday, I think there would have been, and had the same exact ceremony, I think there would have been a lot of people who would be like, wow, that was kind of like very lackluster. And you think of WWE's production and everything else, like you just felt like there could have been a hell of a lot more. So if Undertaker goes out like this, and the only people in attendance other than his friends and family is LED screens, nobody in LED screens should complain. You didn't pay a penny to see any of this. And they weren't on the LED screens during it either. You know what I mean? So I think, maybe he wanted to go out without having live fans there. You know what I mean? So, I'm not trashing it, but, it wasn't bad. I liked it, but I still think there is unfinished business. How that ends up, I have no idea. But, I wanted to bring up, because we were talking about Lana before. And tonight on Raw, Lana, she was just happy. This was the highlight of her career yesterday. Asuka shows up and pretty much says, I welcome a challenge from you for the title and this and that. So Lana has got an impromptu title match tonight. And, once again, you get the tweets from everyone like a couple of weeks ago. Maybe Lana's going to win the belt. Maybe Lana's going to win the belt. Maybe Lana's going to go to her table. Maybe this and that. And, I'm just like, I'm just going to sit back and watch and take it in and see what happens. And what ends up happening is Shayna and Nia, the bullies, I call them Twitter and Instagram, because I think that storyline really, I think that's what it is. They are Twitter and Instagram. They come out, they sit at ringside, and they end up getting involved in the match. They attack Asuka, so Lana gets disqualified. Asuka wins by DQ. Then they were going to put Asuka through a table, and Lana grabs Asuka's leg, actually saves her from getting put through a table. They back off, and then Shayna and Nia, Instagram and Twitter, want to have a match against Asuka and Lana. And sure enough, Asuka did a majority of the work, but Asuka, gets the win. And you have Asuka and Lana, technically, Lana doesn't have to do all that much tonight. And she had a title match, she had a tag match, and now I'm wondering, because Asuka and Lana, because this was Jay Carlos's question, where do we think the Lana storyline is going to go? I think because of the win tonight, you may end up seeing possibly a tag title match with Lana and Asuka versus Nia and Shayna Baszler. But, when does this fairy tale end with Lana? I mean, it's only been a week. But does this fairy tale, do you think it continues, what we're seeing on TV, or do you think it comes down to a crashing halt?
I mean, I imagine it has to come down to a crashing halt at some point. I think, if anything, it's a foil to make Shayna and Nia look stronger. I don't see, where is Lana going to go? Do you believe that she could be a champion? Because it's really difficult for me to sit there and say that, because I just don't believe it. Yeah. I don't believe her as a champion.
Yeah.
And reality is Shayna and Nia have more to win by embarrassing Lana than Lana does by winning. At least that's how I see it.
Yeah. I mean, I look at it like this. I mean, again, we have defended Lana a lot on these shows. We support her. I'll never forget.
It's not a personal thing.
No, it's not a personal thing. I mean, I'll never forget the rant you got on when she showed up in Saudi Arabia to be by Lashley's side. And, I mean, we're not even talking about just social media abuse. Those are death threats because of her showing up the way she did. And you went on this rant that I wish everybody would have heard. Lana even thanked you for it. She appreciated it. And the thing is that, even though we are supportive of her, and even though I loved the storyline yesterday, realistically, though, Lana doesn't have the tools to represent the women's championship. I look at it similar to like Eva Marie or so. If people remember, the storyline that I had originally with Eva Marie is that we all knew that Eva Marie really, couldn't wrestle all that great. Even though in NXT she actually had a little bits of shine here and there. But I thought that the storyline would be that Eva Marie out of nowhere starts throwing this offense out there, and people will be like, what the fuck? She can actually work.
Right.
But Lana, you could see in the ring, she tries extremely hard, but I don't like using sports as an analogy, but there's some people who try their hardest at baseball and will bat .210. There's people that'll play basketball and only get 1 or 2 points a game. There's people in football that no matter how hard they try, they just, so Lana, you need it to be storyline heavy. But what I like about this storyline is, that for me, it really reflected real life in a lot of ways.
Right.
But you can't have her overcome the bullies and then keep having this go on. Lana, in my opinion, they need to distance Lana from Shayna and Nia as quickly as possible. Unless you do some crazy swerve where Lana turns heel again and she ends up being like the manager for Nia and Shayna. I'm not saying that's going to happen,
right.
but you cannot keep this interaction with the two bullies and Lana. Something's got to change and quickly.
No, I agree. Because if you got to separate him if you want to conserve Lana for something else down the road, because you did bring up the point. You have to stay storyline heavy with Lana. Lana is not in the same league. I hate to even use it like that, but she's a different caliber of talent for WWE. She has different assets, and being a strong, believable champion is not one of them. Being on top of the women's wrestling roster is not one of them.
I'll give you a good example. I don't mean to interrupt you. I'll give you a good example. Billie Kay.
Yeah.
Billie Kay is someone who tries extremely hard. And you see now that because of the fact that she really cannot put it all together as a single star, when you push the women's, this is the byproduct of the women's revolution. When you have Asuka, Sasha Banks, Bayley, Charlotte, Hikaru Shida, Io Shirai, Kairi Sane, and you just go on and on and on, Thunder Rosa, and you go through all of this. What ends up happening is you have so many people up at a level that you're not used to. So when you have people like Billie Kay and Lana and some others on this level, I mean, the difference is glaring and it's stark.
Oh, yeah.
So the only way they get TV time is heavily storyline driven. Mm-hmm. So that's where it's always going to be. I mean, they will try. There'll be fluke wins here and there. But, people need to understand, when you have the elite of the elite getting showcased and getting in-ring time, putting 10, 20 minutes, Rhea Ripley's another one. I mean, I go down the list, Mercedes Martinez. There's so many names. And then you put some of the lower card names who don't have that same arsenal. They look, like enhancement talent.
Right.
So absolutely. You either treat them like enhancement talent or you go heavily storyline. And that's where it seems with Lana. But like I said, and you have said this for a few months now, we still agree. We think Lana's been having the time of her life.
Oh yeah.
And we were really pretty much the only people saying that for the last few months.
Really?
Oh yeah, people kept saying, "Oh, she's eating plates of shit" because of what Miro said when he left WWE and signed with AEW. Right. Everybody kept saying, "Oh, they look what they're doing to Lana. She's paying the price for the sins of Miro."
Right.
So, but so tonight also, like we said earlier, Matt Riddle took on Sheamus. I tell you, it was a physical match, and you said it at the very beginning of the show today. I mean, those two guys, they went 20 minutes, and I would have been fine seeing another 20 minutes. They put on a performance tonight that, as goofy as Matt Riddle is with his character outside the ring, they both turned it up a notch tonight. I thought that was phenomenal, that match. I love that match.
I did think it was a really good match. It was very uncharacteristic of Sheamus to have a good match on this level. So I don't know if this is something special because of Matt Riddle and maybe his relationship with him. Maybe they're on the same wavelength and they're going to continue giving us great matches. But, at the same time, this is uncharacteristic of Sheamus. Sheamus is not a guy that you regularly expect to have, these barn burners, these memorable matches with. So I hope it continues. I hope it's something to be looking forward to it as opposed to, oh, well, this was just a one-time thing. You know.
Did you see the part where Matt Riddle almost got MVP to laugh?
No, what happened?
Oh, you got to go back and watch it. You'll it's worth it. When there was a backstage segment, like I said earlier, that Matt Riddle was telling like MVP about, yogurt, pizza flavored yogurt and stuff like that. But Matt Riddle also called MVP my bro. And MVP's like, we're not bros. And Riddle out of nowhere, the best way I could describe it for anybody that hasn't seen it, when they do the pipe-in kids noises for the Firefly Funhouse, and when the segment opens up, they're all like, yay, and then Bray Wyatt will say something, and they'll go, oh, you know what I'm talking about? Yeah, Matt Riddle did that towards MVP today. And when MVP said, we're not bros, Matt Riddle went, oh, and MVP went like this. I mean, he went like this, and he almost lost it. And I've brought it up before. Look, I was too young to watch the Carol Burnett show. My mom used to watch it. For some reason, I remember. But if anybody's ever seen that show, the one thing that would happen a lot is you would have someone like Harvey Korman, I think his name is, and Tim Conway. They would do skits, and they would just crack out laughing during the skit. They wouldn't even hide it. And you then look forward to wanting to see who could make the other person crack. And sometimes that happens on TV. And I tell you, some people didn't catch it, or go back and watch it. You'll get a kick out of it. It's a little split second. You can see for a second, Matt Riddle, when he said that, MVP was like, oh, it was funny. But, we had, we had 3 qualifying matches tonight, as you said, again, tournaments. And the winner of each qualifying match will go on next week. Next week, we'll have a 3-way, and the winner of that 3-way will determine the new number 1 contender for Drew McIntyre's title.
Right.
Matt Riddle defeats Sheamus. I mean, Sheamus did like white noise off the middle rope. I mean, they just brawled, and Matt Riddle got the win and definitely earned his pay tonight. So Matt Riddle advances next week. Bobby Lashley versus Keith Lee, as we said earlier. Phenomenal match. Bobby Lashley a little busted open. It happened, I don't know if you remember the spot, but Bobby Lashley tried to throw Keith Lee into the post, and Keith Lee is so big that Lashley just fell into the post also, and he split his head open a little bit on the post. Not gash, but, he was busted open a little bit. But once again, the ending was just spoiled because MVP just attacks Keith Lee for no reason. So Lashley is disqualified. Keith Lee advances next week. We already talked about Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, which really doesn't seem to be going much anywhere. And then we had tonight AJ Styles versus Randy Orton. And to me, they hyped it up that a WrestleMania quality match and this and that. Nothing against either one of them, but that match seemed very, very mundane tonight.
Sure.
A lot of people figured The Fiend would get involved, especially in that Firefly Funhouse segment earlier, in the midst of Alexa Bliss, killing Friendship Frog and talking about friendship. Bray Wyatt, we had the glimpses of the house burning again. By doing that, you planted the seed to everybody tonight that he still has Randy Orton on his mind. Survivor Series is over, so, now I could fuck with Randy Orton. And that's what happened tonight. Randy Orton gets knocked outside the ring. He's leaning against the barricade. Bray Wyatt is right next to him. And Randy Orton's like, it was just a little too goofy. Then Randy Orton's in the corner. The lights go out. It comes back on. And once again, Bray is right along the top of the ring. Why the referee didn't do anything about it, I don't know. But once again, Randy Orton.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, AJ Styles is ready with the phenomenal forearm. He hits Randy Orton. AJ Styles gets the pin, and we go off the air. with that. So next week it's AJ Styles versus Riddle versus Keith Lee, the winner to face Drew McIntyre for the title. Who of the three do you think Drew McIntyre is going to face?
I'd like to see Matt Riddle in there. I think that would be interesting, but I don't know. What do you think?
I think it might be AJ Styles. I don't think it's going to be Keith Lee because they already had a little bit of involvement. You know, if you remember, Keith Lee and Drew McIntyre had a couple of matches earlier. It didn't really go anywhere. And Keith Lee, you know, he's got new music now. I like it. Yeah, I still haven't gotten the name of the artist yet, so hopefully by next week I'll have it for everybody. Mm-hmm. I'm sure WWE's going to start pushing it on iTunes.
Sure. Yeah.
But I'm not feeling Keith Lee right now getting a heavyweight title shot. Riddle, because of the out of the ring dopiness that WWE's having him do, like he's stoned all the time, I don't feel that either. So I almost feel like AJ Styles versus Drew McIntyre, almost Jordan. They're not calling him almost, O-M-O-S. I think he'll get involved a little bit. You know, we'll see kind of like the stare down of the two big guys. But I think in the end, I think AJ Styles eats the pin. Drew McIntyre, you know, they milk a little bit extra time. Right. And then ultimately it'll be Drew McIntyre and Sheamus. So
that I'm not looking forward to, but we see the storyline being planted there. I wasn't sure how long. How you think that they're right around the corner from doing Drew McIntyre and Sheamus?
You know, TLC is December 20th. So December 20th is, let me see, how many Sundays is that from now? We have 1, 2, 3. We have 3 Sundays. Well, let me say it like this. We have 3 Raws left before TLC. We got the 30th, the 7th,
5.
and the 14th. So, personally, I think it'll be AJ Styles versus Drew McIntyre at TLC. It'll be a gimmick match, I think. And because whoever is going to win next week, that's the 30th. So that Raw is gone. That only leaves 2 Raws left before TLC. So they'll probably do the contract signing thing of one of those 2 weeks, and you'll have probably some type of a pull apart or something. So that only leaves 2 weeks. So, you know, look, whoever it is next week, I think they face Drew at TLC. And then after TLC, if they still go the route with Sheamus, I think maybe something happens at TLC. But Sheamus is turning on Drew. There's no reason on TV for them to be storyline friends when Sheamus is a heel. Mm-hmm. You know? But we'll see next week. So with that, anything else you wanted to get into before we call it? We're at an hour and 45 minutes.
I think for the most part we covered everything. Like you said, it was too long. Didn't listen. It was a subpar Raw. You know, coming out of Survivor Series, I think that this night could have been something special. I think tonight should have been Undertaker heavy too. You know, and I was talking in the chat room, and there were other people that were saying, "Oh, you know, Undertaker's thing was fine," and I'm like, "Well, there's other farewells that have happened in WWE that were even better." You know, I mean, I brought up JR. And Pat Patterson, even though Pat Patterson singing happened off air, is still a farewell to the guy, and everybody in the audience got to, you know, cheer him on and listen to him sing Sinatra. But, you know, even tonight, you could have had it tonight where they would have had segments where people talked about missing the Undertaker or their favorite moments. Like, I don't know, it should have been more. And it literally just felt like, oh, well, done with the Undertaker, let's move on. I mean, it was almost as tragic as what they did to Kurt Angle. Almost as tragic. I don't know.
Edge was backstage yesterday, but they didn't want him on camera yet.
Another guy. Yeah, he should have been out there. Why? Because he's going to ruin the surprise? Come on, man. I don't know. Like I could literally do an hour on all the things that they did completely wrong with that Undertaker farewell.
I will say
time I will say this, I will say this. The only time that I've ever wanted Undertaker not to retire is now. I would like for him to retire because I want him to go home to his wife and kids. I want him to go home and be happy. But I don't want him to retire this way. So it's like I almost hope that they just go, fooled you. He'll be back at WrestleMania. Or
I brought up Mark Henry in the salmon suit with John Cena yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people at that time that were not as into Mark Henry. And when he teased retirement and got people legitimately choked up just to turn on Cena, I mean, that's one of the, some people feel it's one of the best heel turns in recent memory, in a decade or two. I mean, because it was so powerful, and you didn't expect it to be that way. And thank you for the kind words, Jake Halls, and everybody live. I really appreciate that. But I agree with you. Edge, you're not ruining any surprise. If he's in the ring with everyone else, I don't think anyone would have thought about it. Put it this way. In my opinion, WWE caused more headlines by not having Edge on camera than if they did. If Edge would have been on camera, everyone would have reported the list of names who are out there in the ring, and that would have been it. We've been done with it. But the fact that Edge was not put out there, everybody was talking about it. That's why I think WWE, unforced error on WWE's part.
You know, I mean, if they were going to bring out JBL, they should have brought out Simmons. I'm just saying, there's a lot of people, like that entire ministry should have been out there. You know, there was a lot of people that could have made an appearance. Like I said, I don't know why Ted DiBiase wasn't out there. I sure the hell don't know why Brother Love wasn't out there. Like, I mean, let's be honest. What they did last night was a damn travesty. Well, it was a travesty. It was such a thrown together last minute. Who's eating catering? Hey, you want to go outside for a minute and just wave at people and shake hands? Yeah, okay. There's the cool $1,500 in it for you and a bag of Doritos. It was horrible. There was no thought behind it at all.
But there is a big WWE Network 24 coming up. And it's gonna.
There's been big network.
I know, but I'm saying, what I'm saying is, this is gonna accompany the ceremony. Like, you're gonna see that week or two leading up to this, and then you're gonna have loads of interviews, including Edge and others. There's gonna be him backstage with a lot of people going out. You know, so there's going to be a lot of footage from behind the scenes that we will end up seeing. So when we get that, and then you watch this with that together, then it's like, oh, okay, all right. You know, putting it all together. You know, they're gonna just. It's almost like it, but it's funny, Mish. We just had that 5-part series of The Last Ride that was phenomenal,
right?
And you would have thought that if you're doing this 5-part series of The Last Ride, what we got last night should have been part 6 at that time, and put it all together. Then people would have been like, oh my God, remember how we felt after those 5 parts? We felt it was the greatest WWE documentary that they've ever done. And you see all that footage that they've recorded all of these years behind the scenes that you would have. These are recordings going just to have it recorded. Right. What we got last night, and everything that led up to it the last 2 weeks, that should have been part 6 with the other 5 parts months ago. Yeah. That's what I would have done. You know, it's odd. It's odd, you know, that you were left with still that comma, you know, like at the end, or, you know, like, all right, maybe he returns. Well, you know, and then when he throws the comment, well, I worked for a boss that never say never, and this and that. Yeah. And it's like, you do the 5-part series, and then after all of that, you still leave a little bit open. What I'm starting to think, and we'll probably get this answer during the 24, something you said earlier. I think what's going to probably end up happening is they're probably going to show footage of Undertaker right after the thing with AJ Styles, and his body was just done. And we're probably going to find out that he has tried over the last bunch of months to try to work out and try to see if he could do it again for next year, and it was so bad. Maybe with complications from his hip stuff and the surgery he had, we might find out like, okay, there's other things going on health-wise, and yeah, there's no way. And it led to this. Because this feels like came out of I mean, I know it's 30 years to the day that he debuted as The Undertaker, but I think we're going to get a lot of these questions answered when we get that 24 special. And I hope WWE puts it out like a box set. All the parts with this beginning to end. So
I hope so.
Yeah.
I really hope so. Yeah.
You know, tonight was an awesome show. We had very little planned. Great convo, interacting with everybody live, and we're still under 2 hours. So this was a nice flow tonight. I really, really enjoyed it. But I always enjoy it. But everyone, before you go, I would really appreciate it if you enjoyed the show. Give it a thumbs up. Give it a like. Only because, you know, like, it's different with Twitter. You know, people, you know, take the likes, but here it helps us get more exposure. We show up more as recommended videos on other channels. People get to discover the channel. They never heard of us before. So if you enjoyed the show, if you give it a thumbs up, if you didn't like the show for any reason, give it a thumbs down. It's all good. And comment. Let us know what you thought about Raw tonight, the discussion we had, anything, you know. And
you know what we didn't bring up?
What?
Drew McIntyre.
What about Drew McIntyre?
We didn't bring it up, did we?
What about Drew McIntyre?
Well, it's like trending and people are losing their minds over it. The fact that Pierce messed that up that line. Like, there you go. There's your drama after Raw. Drew McIntyre.
I think people... people were grasping on the fact that Vince said WWF yesterday. I mean, the hologram with Paul Bearer was beautiful because Undertaker, you could see it really got him emotionally.
Yeah.
You know, but it was a still shot of Paul Bearer. I mean, I'm not trying to downplay it, but, you know, they tried to play it off like when they did like Kim Kardashian's father doing a speech and this and that. You know, it was a nice touch, but I think people, like I said, you know, they grasp on something and just, you know, really, I mean, the Paul Bearer thing, I don't blame them, but
I liked the Paul Bearer spot. It
was a nice touch.
I thought it was a nice touch, just a little, ooh, and I was like, oh,
yeah,
dude, that was. Because the entire time I'm like, man, it's going to be difficult for them to show all these Undertaker clips and not show Paul Bearer every 20 seconds. It's going to be impossible. You can't say Undertaker without saying Paul Bearer. You know, they were so synonymous with one another.
WWE did right towards Paul Bearer the last couple of months.
Yeah.
Because Paul Bearer was almost like a forgotten person. Even on the last ride, I mean, you would have thought they would have featured Paul Bearer a little bit more than they did, but they have done right the last couple of months. And, you know, but Drew McIntyre, it's almost like the number 2 stuff, you know.
Right.
Number 2, farts, like, you know, there's more important things that need to be discussed. But
it's actually trending. Come on. Come on, BP. What is wrong with us? Why are we on this joke?
I have no idea, man. Again, everyone, I invite you all, if you are not on our Patreon yet, it's not a money grab. You could sign up for like $2 or $5, and it helps with the expenses of the shows. And, you know, you get ad-free episodes of everything that we do during the week. You get 1 to 2 Patreon exclusive shows one other thing, everybody, very important. The Q&A that I was supposed to do today, I didn't do it today because of everything going on, but I'm going to try to bang it out tomorrow afternoon. The only thing is, based on my father's test result, I might end up being at the parents' house tomorrow night, but we'll do the Patreon show tomorrow. If I don't do the Q&A Tuesday, it'll be done Wednesday afternoon at the latest. It'll be out there for everyone on YouTube. And then I'll be back for Wednesday Night Dynamite Wednesday night. Be a little bit abbreviated. And then I am on vacation for 4 or 5 days. You'd be surprised how many people are trying to give me guilt trips saying, how could you be going on vacation with the virus like skyrocketing in numbers? I've been working the entire time. I worked 3 jobs at one point to try to pay the bills. I've been, out there and protecting myself. So, if I could be out there protecting myself and being forced to work during the entire thing of COVID, I should be allowed to take a few days break as well. And I will be careful, and I will take precautions. And also this Sunday will be the 1-year anniversary I got engaged. So, trying to, make up for the year that we lost, So, all right, Mish, I'll talk to you tomorrow, 8 p.m.
Yes, sir, and I'll be there.
Thank you, Mish. Have a great night, my friend. Take care. All right, everybody. I want to thank you all for tuning in. Which is creepier, this or this? I always keep that picture on the sidelines, but I got to thank Mish again. Awesome to have him on the show. A lot of fun, as always. Great convo, great energy, and I thank you all for tuning in as well. Great discussion. Whenever you see me looking this way, I'm looking at all of you chatting. I'm reading and feeling the room, and I want to thank you for the support. And like I said, before you go, if you enjoyed the show, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please do. Doesn't cost anything, and we want to get to 20,000 as quickly as possible. Never thought we would get this much in 10 months. Early on, it's amazing. When it started in January, I thought, okay, maybe 5,000-6,000 subscribers by the end of the year. And people need to remember this: 70 to 80% of everybody who enjoys the shows access audio only. A very small percentage of you out there actually tune into the videos. So when people try to compare my numbers to others out there, I'm like, yeah, well, what about the other 15 to 20,000 downloads that are audio only as well? So I love doing the video because we can get animated, have fun, show pictures, videos, the deal. And that'll never change. It's just going to get bigger and better. But I want to thank you all for the support as always. If you're around Wednesday night, join me right here after NXT and AEW for Wednesday Night Dynamite. We'll have some nice discussions. I think both shows this week will be pretty good. Keep the faith. And that's it. Everyone, much love. Be well. For anyone out there that is not going to be tuning in tomorrow or Wednesday, I wish you now early a very happy Thanksgiving. All the best. I'm looking at the clock. We're at an hour and 58. So I don't want to go over 2 hours. So I'll just spend the next 30 seconds just wishing everybody a happy Thanksgiving. Thank you always for the support. And believe me when I tell you, your support just really, it's almost like Christmas every time we tune in to see all of you out there enjoying the shows. My God, and you see people tuning in 4 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning. Just really, it's awesome. It's humbling. And we're always here trying to give you our best. We may not be the most aesthetic to look at. We may not be the most polished. We may not be the most professional. But one thing from us is we're honest, straightforward. And, you get 100% effort. And I thank you. So everyone, much love once again. Happy Thanksgiving. And if you're around, join me Wednesday night for Wednesday Night Dynamite. Take care, everyone. Ciao.